Familiar faces from television and the big screen, we visit with Native actors, plus the arts and empowering women. That's coming up next on the ICT Newscast.
The Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communication at Arizona State University is a proud supporter of Indian Country Today. Students at Cronkite News and Gaylord College at the University of Oklahoma cover Indigenous communities together. This important work is distributed by more than 100 news organizations. This collaboration provides a much-needed boost to coverage of Native American communities nationwide. Learn more at cronkitenews.azpbs.org.
This is the ICT Newscast with Aaliyah Chavez.
Gotwatsi Hopa. Thank you for joining us for this special edition of the ICT Newscast. We start in California, where Shelly Foster Blake shares some special moments over her career working in Hollywood. She is an actress with a long list of credits to her name, including the very funny series The Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt on Netflix, and TNT's Crazy Horse, where she starred opposite of Michael Greyeyes. The actress displayed her comedic nature in her role on The Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, which was produced by the legendary Tina Fey.
Well, the thing is, we had native actors, so that always helps. And the production, the people, Tina Fey and Robert Carlock, the producers, were so generous and so wanted to be so right on with the language and with the characters. And it was a satirical comedy. And first, Indian Country was kind of confused because there was a white woman playing an Indian, which of course we did want because we want, but it was a satirical comedy, so that worked for this particular series. But what was wonderful is they gave two Indian actors jobs, really good jobs with really good people to work with. I mean, the cast and crew were all just lovely. It was a great experience.
Sherry talked about the Native women she admires.
Oh, well, Wilma Mankiller, number one. I mean, what she's done for the nation is remarkable, and where she came from. So Wilma Mankiller, number one. And I think Tantu Cardinal, one of the great actors that we have of our time. I remember when I first met her with Dances with Wolves, she just brought us all into a circle. She's such an inspiration to all Native women. And she's just wonderful. And I've worked with her and a couple of times. And she's just the professional, but yet she's the human being when the cameras go off, always reaching. And in Canada, she's starting an acting conservatory for her people. So she's someone I look up to. And she and Wilma, let me see, who else can I think of? That I've kind of been around a long time. So, those are the ones I know and that I've met and I've spent time with.
That was actor Shelly Foster Blake. Piet Despain won Next Level Chef, the cooking competition from award-winning chef Gordon Ramsay. She is from the Prairie Band Potawatomi Nation, and she's Mexican. Both cultures inspire her recipes. Despain shares part of her journey.
I've been in Los Angeles for 4 years, and it's been very, very tough, not only as a woman, as a chef, just as a Native American, Mexican, minority. It was really, really tough. And I faced homelessness. I was couch surfing. I lived out of my car with 2 suitcases for a year, just kind of bouncing around, me and my cat going places to places. And it was just really an uncomfortable feeling. And I just, used to sit on the beach and cry and like, what am I doing? Like, why am I doing this? And of course, my family's like, you can always come back home. But I'm one of those people that when I set my mind to something, like I have to see it through. I have to give myself that opportunity to really like do it until the end. And I kept thinking, is this the end of it? Like, is this all? Do I have to go back to Kansas now and feel like a failure? And I kind of just, dug deep and I thought to myself, no, I can't do that. And I continuously just worked towards my dreams and sharpened my skill set and did everything I possibly could to make this dream work. And it wasn't until I started falling into my heritage and really making food that represented myself and represented Indigenous people that things kind of started clicking and moving into a better direction. And I'm a very spiritual person, and so I had to do that, dig deep and really recognize like what my soul's purpose was and what am I here to do, what am I here to represent. And it wasn't until I started asking those questions that I started getting the answers. And so it landed me fortunately on the Gordon Ramsay's cooking show Next Level Chef. And I experienced a lot of hardships during that people didn't quite know about either. But I lost a friend while I was in the first week of filming for that show. And I almost left the show one week in, but I decided, like, just because her journey is over doesn't mean that this journey has to end for me. Like, this is like my wildest dreams coming true. And so I, really dug deep, and fortunately I was able to pull through and end up on top as the winner.
That was Chef Piet Despain. When we come back, more on thought leaders empowering Native nations. In college, Susan Maston was elected president of the Native American Student Association. It sparked a lifelong career as an advocate for women and tribal rights. She was president of the National Congress of American Indians and chair and vice chairperson of the Yurok tribe. In 2004, Susan founded the organization We Win, which stands for Women Empowering Women for Indian Nations.
We Win was founded in 2004, as you said, to assist women who are currently in leadership, to uplift and encourage them and to rejuvenate them and to build up their spirits. And so also to prepare young women for leadership roles. We also paid tribute to the women who came before us for their sacrifices and contributions to allow us to enjoy the rights that we have today, and for protecting our homelands and our culture, language, and traditions. So we do this based on our cultural and traditional values, because those are important to all of us, and they are pretty consistent throughout Indian country. And we do this through personal and professional training developments that we do once a year. And so women come together to learn and share and network and build, contacts. Some find jobs, some end up running for council or national positions simply because they attended We Win and were able to see other women role models in leadership positions. And so, and the encouragement and support that we offered while they were there gave them that kind of strength and courage to step forward and serve in a leadership role.
Susan Maston was inspired by generations of strong women.
And so because there weren't a lot of leaders in my time, starting my career and throughout my career, who shaped me was my grandmother and my mother. And what they instilled in me when I was very young is that if you work hard, that you can be anyone or anything that you want to be, and you can do anything. And so I never had an attitude where I didn't think I could do something. I just automatically assumed I could do it, whether it was, sheetrocking a wall or, creating an organization or running for president of the National Congress or running for the chair of my tribe. It gave me that strong foundation of good work ethics to work hard. And they were very strong about getting an education and to just go for whatever it was that, I dreamed of. Unfortunately, that's not always what happened. Sometimes you don't get to choose your path, and that happens often in tribal government, that there others choose you, and if you have the gifts and from the Creator that provided to you, and people call upon you, then you have an obligation to use those gifts to help your communities the best that you can.
The We Win leader offers encouragement.
Say that prayer is powerful and our people relied on prayer, and that you need to pray every day and remember to include the prayers for yourself so that you can be the best that you can be. And so that there is, all things are possible if you believe, and you need to believe in yourself, because there are many times when you will not have the support of others, and you need to be strong in the foundation of who you are as a Native woman, to know your culture and your traditions, because that is what's going to give you the strength and courage to be able to be successful in your life.
That was Yurok citizen Susan Maston. The National Endowment for the Humanities was created in 1965 and since then has had just 11 leaders. Navajo citizen Shelly Low is the first Native person to lead the NEH. She led Harvard University's Native American program and served as a member of the National Council on the Humanities.
Over my time as a council member, I really got to see where our funding was going. And even more importantly, I got to see where our funding wasn't going, what communities we weren't reaching, what institutions we weren't serving. And I started to ask a lot of questions, and I started to say, how do we reach out to small organizations? How do we reach out to tribal communities? And that is going to be one of the things that I'm going to prioritize, is how do we get the word out? I know that humanities is a vague concept sometimes, and people wonder, what does NEH do, right? I mean, when I was asked to be on the council, that's what I said. What does NEH do? I really want to get our information out. I really want individuals to think about us as a resource for the work that they're doing.
Sharing knowledge with future leaders is important to Low.
Well, I think it's really important for us to create knowledge and to share knowledge. And I think the essence of humanities is helping us to shape our meaning making, helping us to understand our place in the world and what the world is to us, but also really understanding that from our own cultural values and views. And I think being someone who works with students and has taught students, I see similar roles in NEH and doing the same kind of knowledge making and knowledge sharing.
Chair Low is the federal agency's first Indigenous leader.
It's a little bit intimidating, right? But it's exciting. I had the opportunity to step into my office the other day, and you walk in and you see the pictures of the past chairs, and you understand that, there's a new presence here. There's a new kind of background and way of thinking about things that I think will bring into the agency, and say this is going to be something that somebody else is going to follow me, and we're going to have more Native people in administrative positions, and I think it's really important.
That was Shelly Low, chair of the National Endowment for the Humanities. When we come back, Delana Studi shares her passion for theater. Stay with us. Native Voices at the Autry has new leadership, but she's not new to the stage. Delana Studi chairs the SAG-AFTRA's National Native Americans Committee. Plus, she's a 2022 United States Artists Fellow.
Native Voices at the Autry is the only equity theater devoted to developing and producing plays by Indigenous playwrights. In fact, it's how I got my start as a playwright. And so I like to say I make people's dreams come true. I take new plays by Indigenous playwrights. I help them develop the plays and get them ready for production. And then I send them off into the world. We're a launching pad. So hopefully you'll see more Native theater across the state. So like I said, I get to read plays. I get to play pretend every day. My day basically consists of lots of meetings, lots of reading. Right now we're in rehearsals for a short play festival. So I get to work with actors. And I mean, honestly, it's a dream come true.
Studi reflects on her personal project about the Trail of Tears.
Well, my heart project is my solo performance piece called And So We Walked. We recently had our Audible premiere. We had our off-Broadway debut. It's been on tour for the past 5 years. It was the first play to go to, the first American play to go to Tunisia, to the Theater Festival of Carthage. And the reason why it's my heart project is my father and I retraced our family's footsteps along the northern route of the Trail of Tears, all 990 miles. And I wrote a play about our 6-week journey and also just our relationship. So in a weird way, it's a love song to my daddy. What was interesting is my father is a boarding school survivor. He's also an old speaker, which means his first language was Cherokee, and he didn't learn English until he went to boarding school. And so on the trail, it was as if he came alive. Like I got to see his authentic self before boarding school. And I was taking in all the trauma, but he had already learned how to cope with it. And so it was such a wonderful bonding experience for both of us. But I always say I got to see my dad be his true self finally.
That was actress Delana Studi. Chera Giles is the chairwoman of the National Indigenous Women's Resource Center. She talks about how her career of service to her community began.
What first got me started, of course, working for my own tribal nation and then just Indian country as a whole is really what my tribe has done for me as a student, as a young mother. I was a teenage mom. And so having those opportunities given to me to be able to continue my schooling, for my family to be housed through housing programs, it was just one way for me to give back. And at 16, I had my first daughter, and she was born with Down syndrome. And so that trajectory of my life of giving back and really trying to find my purpose and make sure that she has a place in this world, it was just really drove me to just continue to do what I can, even with challenging circumstances sometimes.
Giles talks about how her career in social work began to open her eyes.
As a teenage mom, I was really focused on and not knowing that she was going to have Down syndrome. Was really trying to set up I was still in high school, so I taking all the classes. I was really wanting to be a physical therapist and started taking my math and sciences. And somewhere midstream before my daughter was born, it was just like, this isn't who I am. And social work really started to have a calling. And then after my daughter was born, having all the social workers that were helping me get access services for her. And people ask me, well, what does your tribe offer for people with special needs? What can you do? And it really started to open my eyes, like, what are tribal communities doing for people with special needs? And just get me thinking about a lot of different things. And again, as a teenage mom, all the support services I had in place. So going to school and pursuing that degree in social work, and still not exactly sure like what area I wanted to focus on, but saying there was such a need out there in Indian country and in our communities. You know, finding a job wasn't going to be hard. That's unfortunate. But at least I can come from my background and my tribal community and just continue to elevate those voices that aren't often heard. And so being a social worker it led me to a lot of different areas, from child welfare to running 12 tribal direct service programs for my own tribal nation.
The board chair explains what it was like to be the youngest person to be elected to her tribal council at age 24.
Man, I was really brave. At that time, I really thought to myself, I can do this. I had a master's degree. I also had 3 kids at that point, and I was pregnant with my 4th child. And I just, at the time, just felt fearless. Like this wasn't something that was too far out of reach. This wasn't something that wasn't unreasonable. And at that time, for my tribal council, we're the 4th largest tribe in the United States, the Muscogee Creek Nation. It just felt like this is a way I can give back, but it also wasn't a full-time job. It didn't come with benefits. So I was getting an $800 a month stipend. So I still had to work full-time, attend my council meetings, be a part of active in my community. So being a working mom and a career woman and just, coming out of my master's program, it was a way to say, I can do all of these things and do them well. And the use of technology, cell phones were coming out more emails, more internet when I first got on council. So even opening those opportunities to say I can still be accessible and take care of the things I need to take care of in my home, as well as for my tribal community and then my professional career as well.
Giles shares advice for those who want to give back to their community.
Absolutely. Just starting small. The world does seem like a big place, and things may seem out of our control and that we don't have any say or any voice, but just creating those opportunities. I always say this especially for young people, as adults, adult aged people, we got to help create those opportunities and get out of their, young people's way as well. I have adult aged children in their early 20s, and I know they're still finding their way, but I also have to be able to say, okay, here's some opportunities. Here's, have you considered this? Have you looked at this? And then the work that I'm doing in behavioral health and wellness is for Bureau operated funded schools. And so we're looking at ways to connect again through social media, through the ways that we're not able to travel and meet in person, but really continuing to share what young people are doing. We see this abundance of TikTok videos and these young influencers. So promoting them and sharing their information and showing and highlighting them what they're doing in their own tribal communities as well.
An all-Indigenous 16-piece big band is making its premiere performance in May in Olympia, Washington. It's co-directed by Delbert Anderson, Danae on trumpet, who we featured on the ICT Newscast. It is the brainchild of Julia Keefe. She's from the Nez Perce Nation and a jazz vocalist, actor, activist, and educator.
It was a big outreach effort. Delbert Anderson and I have worked together in the past, and we've become really good friends. And, two Indigenous jazz musicians coming together, we saw that as something really awesome. I never knew that I could connect with another Indigenous jazz musician. And so Delbert and I started talking about this big band project, like how cool would it be to put this together? And so I applied for grant funding through South Arts, and I won that funding, which was awesome. And then came the big outreach effort. We put it out a call on social media to try to get in touch with as many people as possible. I reached out to some of my Indigenous musician friends who are in different genres, like, okay, do you know any Indigenous jazz musicians, and can you give me their contact information? And so it really was just sort of this like big outreach effort to every corner of the US and Canada and down into the Caribbean. It's really exciting because we just have there was such an influx of people who were interested, who were excited, who wanted to be involved. I mean, I had enough people reach out that we could put together a couple of big bands. But a huge part of this was to create a community of Indigenous jazz musicians outside of the big band performances, where we could all connect and support each other and hire each other, and also do peer-to-peer mentoring and other outreach opportunities. So it's been really exciting.
That was Julia Keefe from the Nez Perce Nation. Before we go, let's take a listen.
But it haunts me 'cause it won't come true. Oh, darn that dream. darn that one-track mind of mine. It can't understand why you don't care. But just to change that mood I'm in, I'd welcome a nice old nightmare. Oh, darn that dream, and bless it too. Without that dream, I never would have you. But it haunts me 'cause it won't come true. Oh, darn that dream.
And that's a slice of our Indigenous world. For more news, visit IndianCountryToday.com. From all of us in the newsroom, stay safe, my relatives. I am Aaliyah Chavez.
Sometimes you got